Okay, so now, this message is called Traitor. Okay? Once again, this message is called Traitor. Now, I want you all to know something, right? This is not going to be a long message. Okay? What is a traitor? Okay? Very simply, a traitor is someone who is disloyal, right? Well, the definition can be a little deeper than that. I really like to use the word treacherous because traitor can mean someone trading on his country, or trading on an organization. But this message, I need y'all to follow what I'm saying here, because many people have been called traitors. Okay? I've heard of Malcolm X being called a traitor. That's what I've heard. Okay? Do I think he was a traitor? No. No, I don't personally think he was a traitor. But I want everybody to have an understanding of what I'm saying here. Okay? Was Hitler a traitor? Because he went against his own people. Was Hitler a traitor? Listen to what I'm saying to you all, right? Because I'm asking you all these questions for a reason. See, you all are thinking down here. Now allow me to take you all to a higher frequency. But first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give an example of what some people call a traitor, and then I'm going to give the true definition of a traitor. Okay? So what's an example? An example of what some people would call a traitor. Here's an example. There's a camp that goes by the name of IUIC. Recently, I've been hearing that they've been calling some people traitors. Now, I'm going to be careful with my words because I'm not sure 100%. But word that I've gotten is they're calling specific people traitors simply because they left their organization. Now, if that's true, if it's true, in fact, then I'm going to explain what separates a traitor from someone leaving falsehood. Now, let me give you the true definition of a traitor. Now, I could have used scriptures about Judas. If you all remember, Judas was one of the 12 disciples. Judas traded on Yahushua HaMashiach. Judas is going to burn in hell. Okay? A lot of you people, you Negroes, you don't believe in purgatory. You don't believe in the lake of fire. That is because you are foolish. Now let me tell you why many of you Negroes could possibly end up in the lake of fire. I want you all to listen very carefully, because I'm not going to use the scripture about Judas, even though I could, but I'm going to use a scripture that I use often. And there's a reason why I chose this scripture other than the common treacherous Judas scripture, one of the former disciples. Now, I want everybody to pay very careful attention of something, because your very souls depend on it. You Negroes don't fear Elohim. Okay? Let's go to Mark. Like I said, I use this scripture often. Let's go to Mark 16, 7 through 11. Mark 16, 7 through 11. And it reads, one of the prisoners at that time was Barabbas, a revolutionary who had committed murder in an uprising. The crowd went to Pilate and asked him to release a prisoner as usual. Pilate asked them, "Do you want me to release the King of the Jews?" I know I have to reread it. Who do I have to reread this to? I have to reread this to you street Negroes. Let me clarify something. I'm not saying that street Negroes are dumb. There, in fact, more street Negroes are far more intelligent than many of you jokers with PhDs and master's degrees. Because you think that gives you a well, it does give you a societal status, but it gives you no brownie points with God. And there are the reason why I say I have to reread it to you street Negroes is because you street Negroes, the majority of you are not inclined with the scripture. I'm not talking down on anybody. Listen to what I'm saying. You street Negroes are not inclined with the scripture, the majority of you. So for you all and you women that talk like this and wear all your weaves and are constantly concerned about your nails and your hair and constantly concerned about chasing a bag and finding a perfect man, I'm speaking to you all because you are not inclined in the scriptures. That's why I have to reread things. Now, sadly, to many of you people who are in the truth, I have to reread to you because many of you who've been in this truth for years, you ought to be teachers, but you are not, and you must be given the milk because you do not believe in Yahushua HaMashiach as your rabbi. You learn from men and you err. So I have to reread this scripture and I'll need to break it down so that all of you can get a great comprehension of what I'm saying. Now, what am I doing again? I'm giving you the true definition of a traitor. This is Mark, the 16th chapter, verse 7 through 11. And it reads, one of the prisoners at that time was Barabbas. Who was Barabbas? A Negro. Barabbas was a black man just like you and I. He was a revolutionary who committed murder in an uprising. He committed murder. He did not kill anyone. What's the difference? I've already explained the difference between murder and kill. To murder someone is to take the life of an innocent bystander. When you Negroes play with guns out here in the streets and fly bullets hit a child, let me tell you the problem with that. And many of you are going to face a great destruction for this. Whomever has been involved in a shooting and a stray bullet hit a child. Now, I know how hard this would be. You need to do two things. You need to step up to the plate and admit that you did it. Or admit that you had something to do with that. Now, I know 1 out of 100 Negroes would do that. And let me keep it real 100 with you. If I was somebody and I was in that situation, I don't even know if I would do it. It takes a lot of integrity and a lot of balls to do something like that. But in order to get it right, that's one of the things you have to do. Another thing that you have to do is you have to talk directly to the Almighty in reference to that. Not a false God. The true God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Yahuwah. That's the only way out of that. That's why I try not to get myself in things. Because I'm nobody. A peaceful man. A man that wants to speak the truth, no matter the consequences. A man that wants to speak the truth no matter the consequences. Okay? Now, I need y'all to listen very carefully to this scripture, okay? I'm going to try to get y'all out of here in 20 to 25 minutes. One of the prisoners at that time was Barabbas. Barabbas was a street nigga. A revolutionary who had committed murder in an uprising. The crowd went to Pilate. Who was the crowd? A bunch of Negroes. The crowd went to Pilate and asked him to release a prisoner as usual. Pilate asked them, making an assumption, do you want me to release the King of Jews? Do you want me to release Yahusha? Pilate was a good man, and he had an assumption that true crowd of Negroes would have been just as good in the heart as he was. So when he asked the whole bunch of you, the ancestors, so you all say, that wasn't us, it was your ancestors. You are the Negroes. You are the ancestors of those Negroes. The cycle continues. Okay? Now, why did he ask you Negroes, did you want to release Christ? Because Christ was innocent. Christ was a perfect man. Christ didn't sin. No ordinary man can walk the planet and not sin. Half of us men, if a fat ass walk by, you're going to cut your eye. I've been working very hard on that. And I've been doing good lately. I've been staying off Instagram. I really have. Because of the many beautiful women on Instagram. I have been loyal to my wife. Okay, she's the only person that I'm laying down with. The only woman that I'm dealing with physically. Okay, I am working hard with my issue, against my issue. Christ said, if you even look the words in red, the final authority of the words in red are the final authority of the universe. Let me say that again. The words in red is the final authority of the entire universe. So, no man can walk around but not sin. But Christ, as many would say, he wasn't an ordinary man. There was nothing ordinary about Christ at all. Now, many of you would say that he was only a man to a degree. But there's two things about Christ that was significantly different from him and every other man that walked this planet. One, when he was murdered, his flesh did not corrupt. No rigor mortis set in. Two, he didn't sin. He didn't sin. How can a mortal man not sin? Oh, here's three. He didn't have a biological father. Let me say that again. Yahushua HaMashiach did not have a biological father. Three very significant things that none of you can claim. Why did Pilate make a suggestion for you Negroes to release Christ, assuming that you Negroes were righteous? Because he understood that the chief priests had delivered Christ for jealousy. But the chief priests stirred up the crowd to ask him to release Barabbas for them instead. The chief priests stirred up the crowd. So, the high Negroes amongst you low Negroes, because that's the way you operate, you Negroes have Negroes that you put on a pedestal, and then you Negroes operate according to those Negroes. Let me tell you what happened when the ancestors of you Negroes did just that during the crucifixion. You got us all of us, in a situation to face judgment now. The ancestors of you Negroes, myself as well, because I'm a Negro, our ancestors have put us all in a situation to face judgment. But the chief priest stood up the crowd and asked Pilate to release Barabbas instead of Yahushua HaMashiach. Many of you have no idea of the magnitude of this scripture. Many of you, especially you all, that rap about violence, talk like this, continuously wear abominable clothing to show all your privates, and to constantly put on a pedestal your looks, such as your hair and your nails, and your muscles, and all of these things. Not that there's anything wrong with being in shape. Nothing wrong with that at all. Nothing. But to put these things on a pedestal is wickedness. So you type of people don't understand the magnitude of this, because many of you worship yourself and you don't even know it. You have narcissistic attitudes and you worship yourself. So the ancestors, our ancestors, released a well-known murderer, Lord knows what else, rapist, thief. He broke into houses, his own brothers and sisters' houses, stole their goods, and I believe he was a serial murderer. It wasn't one or two people. That was his twist. He got down like that. Your ancestors, black people, my ancestors, chose Barabbas over Christ. It's not over. When Pilate saw that he was getting nowhere, but that instead an uproar was starting, Pilate took the water and washed his hands in front of the crowd. And Pilate said, I am innocent of this righteous man's blood. He said, it is your responsibility. All the people answered, his blood is on us and our children. Now, many of you have no idea of the severity of that scripture. That is what a traitor is. Now, don't get me twisted. This is the moral of my story. No man can ever say that I have abandoned him under no circumstance. And I'm talking about an ordinary man. No man can to my slanderers, here's some firepower for you. Now you can make up this lie as well. I've never ever abandoned another brother under any circumstances, no matter what was going on, no matter the situation. There's no man anywhere that could ever say, that could step up and say that I ran, that I traded, that I did anything under any circumstance. So, back when I was speaking about how some people say, well, they're a traitor. Why? Because they left your organization? And then many of you camps out there and many of you churches, you claim to be the body of Yahushua HaMashiach. That is bullshit. There's a scripture in Ezra's that says that no man should claim himself righteous. You are not to claim yourself among the righteous. That is wickedness. No person on this planet can claim themselves righteousness. You better pray and hope, because the true righteous, those who don't speak up and be talking about, oh, I'm righteous, the true righteous people will scarcely be delivered. They will barely escape. What will happen to the sinners, those who don't trust Yahushua HaMashiach? To be a traitor, now don't get me wrong, you can betray a man. But if that man breaks his loyalty against you, then you are now in you now have the right to break your loyalty with him. You are not to be loyal to any man that bleeds blood and breathes air unless they maintain their loyalty to you. But Christ is loyal. Yahuwah will never break his covenant with those that obey his covenant. For you Negroes out there that are not in the truth, and you are in religion, and you are in the traditions of men, you are not loyal to your Elohim. And therefore, he does not owe you any loyalty. But to an extent, however, he will show it anyway. Because there are many people out there that even though they disbelieve, he has them to do specific things. There are some of you Negroes out there who are very strong in muscular stature. And many of you have small faith, like a mustard seed. But he will still use you as warriors because of your stature. Negroes out there that are very skilled and trained in weaponry. You just have a mustard seed, but he'll still use you because of your expertise in weaponry. But we get loyalty confused, misconstrued in many cases. Your loyalty must be to your Elohim. It must be to your God. Now, I've never turned any man, but I've been turned. I've been turned out in this world, and I've been turned in the truth. Now, let me tell you all one of the biggest disloyalties that somebody can do to you. Not tell you the truth. To not tell somebody the truth is extremely disloyal. It's very treacherous. Especially if the doctrine is damnable, like Joseph was the father of Elohim. Because many of you out there, you have been disloyal to other men, and women to other women, and women to men, and men to women. But for all of you out there, many of you claim that you're loyal. Many of you claim you're not a snitch. Many of you claim that you have your honor. Many of you claim that you have your integrity, but yet you know the truth. And yet to this day, you still remain unloyal to Yahushua HaMashiach. See, this Negro is a nation. Now, let me say something real quick, because a lot of people say that I don't love my people. Under what condition? Because I don't love the way you want me to love? My grandfather was in the military. That's how he raised me. And love is not hugs and kisses all the time. It's telling people the truth. That's love. Love is telling people the truth. There's no way around that. There's no way around that. I'm not going to, if I'm in the wrong and I'm telling heresies and false doctrines and damnable lies, I'm not going to call someone a traitor because they left me in my foolishness, because they decided to leave me in my wickedness. I don't care if it's my closest man to me from birth. Yeah, I got a couple brothers, 2 or 3 brothers, man, that I will die for. If they start talking all that, going against the Christ stuff, I'm not saying that I won't be there if they need me, but I can't ride with them. Your loyalty must be to God first, then men, if they deserve it. Loyalty is automatic, in my opinion. Some people think it's deserved. No, it's deserved, but it should be automatic. Let that person turn you first. God came down here in the flesh and was loyal to his people. And his people turned his back on him then, and we still turn our back on him to this day. You cannot have the Father without the Son. You cannot have the Father without the Son. You cannot have the Father without the Son.